I'm Fredrik Leilani, and I'm the filmmaker.
And I'm Leilani Farha, and I'm the advocate.
And this is Pushback Talks Summer Special, where we play with words, me and Leilani, and we call it Word Food. Leilani, are you ready?
I feel like I'm on a game show.
You are.
I'm ready.
Let's go. Here's a word for you, Leilani, the social contract.
That's 2 words. And my reply in an instant is the social contract is dead. Okay.
Did it ever exist? It existed in our minds, of course. But
It existed in our minds. You know, it's such a good question. Did it ever exist? My entire career was based on some idea that the social contract was something other people believed in and that governments had committed to when they signed international law and these treaties that say everyone should have adequate housing, food, water and sanitation, health, education, cultural rights. Rights around employment, of course, the ability to unionize, organize. To me, that was all about the social contract. And, almost all of the world's governments have signed that treaty that contains all of those things. So I used to believe that. And now, we're in this place, this horrible place right now where it's clear international law is meaningless. Governments never intended, I don't think, to hold themselves accountable. And they certainly aren't holding themselves accountable now. And so I don't know where we're at. But I do know that people want the social contract.
Yeah,
and they are demanding it.
I made my latest film, Breaking Social, is about breaking of the social contract. So I've been thinking a lot about it, especially because I think the meaning of the social contract is in all of us. This kind of, we want to be good, we want to be responsible for our community, and we don't like when people are too pushy or too egoistic. So it's in us as human beings to do good together. But obviously it became really hard, and we have a society that is rewarding the people who break the social contract. And of course, now when we have the fascists in governments around the world who happily break it and are proud of breaking the social contract, of course it will be very hard. But I still think that a part of our resistance need to be to stand by values. Mm-hmm. I think our values are part of our defense. So when they go low, we still have to go high. We can't go low with them. I think kind of a leftist populism is it's not so fun, Sometimes you can communicate in a good way, but I think it's wrong. I think we have to kind of stand up for moral values, human rights, and for some kind of social contract.
I agree with that. And I don't think there's any other path. I mean, what's the alternative to just abandon values? What I do think, though, Fredrik, is on the left, if you want to use that language, which we tend not to use, but progressives, let's say, whatever, we're not so good at packaging it, selling it, and making it a requirement. So we have to do better at putting those values as the way forward. And I mean, it's so awful for people and our young people. You and I both have young, kids and, young adults, I guess. And, they will do everything right. They get their education. They're doing internships. They're doing this. There's summer jobs, et cetera. And at the end of it, they may not have a home they can afford. They may not have a decent job. They won't have a pension. They won't be unionized, et cetera. So,
but values, Leilani, you have to push it to me.
I'm going to give you a word. It's a big word. It's a small word, but it's a big word. Are you ready for it?
No. Yes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The word is media.
Media. Oh, it sounds like somebody who's reading tarot cards in a little shop in Ottawa. Is that a media? Who can foresee the future? Your card looks like you might be getting laid tonight, or I don't know. Media. Oh, you mean you're talking about mass media? You're talking about
Possibly.
journalists and stuff. Oh, yeah. I was a journalist. I worked as a journalist for many years, and I have a deep respect for journalism. It's always been crappy journalism, commercial journalism. I mean, so it's not that everything is heroic, but I think when media and journalists are doing the job well, they are trying to see the cracks on the wall and to say, hey, there's something wrong here. So society can fix it. It's a function of democracy that is needed.
Yes.
And I think one of the biggest crises right now is the death of the local media, which is happening all over the world. And in the US, I think almost all the small newspapers, city newspapers has gone, which means that what I see from the US is that people don't even vote locally anymore, So it's kind of a very important part of democracy goes away, because democracy has to come from the local level, I think, and up. Yeah. It's not only about electing a president or a prime minister. It's also about who is ruling your city and in what direction your city is going. So I think we need to kind of reinvent the local media, the local journalism. I think that's really important. But of course, also, we take it the other way around. The local journalism in Gaza has been extremely important. So important that Israel has started to target the journalists. And now I saw a post saying that there are more killed journalists in Gaza than in the First World War, Second World War, the Vietnam War, the Afghanistan War. I think more dead journalists in Gaza. It's very hard to comprehend. Yeah. But it tells you something about the power of storytelling.
Mm-hmm. The power of truth.
The power of truth, and it's... I mean, you can imagine if the Jews in the time of Hitler had social media and could broadcast from the ghetto of Warsaw and from all the other places where the horrible things happened. Yeah. Would that have changed the course of history? Hopefully.
Hasn't changed it.
No.
I wouldn't say that, actually. I wouldn't say that it hasn't changed anything. It hasn't changed the reality for people in Gaza. All of this, it's what Motaz Azeza, the very famous photographer and journalist, he became a journalist because of what's happening in Gaza. It's what he said, like, I showed everything in the first few months. I showed everything, and it made no difference. But it isn't totally true. No. I mean, people around the world have awakened to what's happening in Gaza and what's happening to Palestinians in a new way. I mean, it is phenomenal, and millions of people, probably billions, have protested, etc. The one thing that, when I think of media, I mean, in my work, human rights, we say, is an accountability. It's about accountability. It's about the accountability of states, and I've always interacted with media that way as well. That media can hold governments accountable to things like human rights. And I've worked very closely with journalists. I've always tried to, and not just so that, like, I can be in the limelight, rather educating them about the financialization of housing, trying to explain to them what the human right to housing means. I am very disappointed in mainstream media since Gaza has unfolded, and the deep bias in some of the media outlets that I would normally have relied on for accountability. In my own country, for example, every media is biased, but the Globe and Mail, our kind of national newspaper, the CBC, all of the mainstream channels, the BBC in the UK has come under complete fire. So many, the New York Times.
Can I add something here? I told you in an earlier episode that we were sued by Dole Food Company for a film called Bananas. And when I was under attack, the media has an easy way to handle things. Is they say this side and the other side, you know? It's like they call it balance because then they don't really have to go deep.
Yeah.
They can stay on the surface and they can say, okay, the authorities in Gaza said 100 kids killed, and then Israel says there was a Hamas fighter in the crowd, or we will investigate, whatever. You know, it's a very easy way of just balancing. And you know, when I was sued, it was a small company in Sweden against the biggest fruit company in the world. It's not an even, says Fredrik, says Dole.
Yeah.
But that's how it was treated. And I think that's, the media has to go deeper, you know, and just and also emotionally say, okay, what is happening here? Who is the big guy?
Yeah.
And who is the small guy? Who is David and who's Goliath? And I think the laziness of many journalists, and of course, also in a time of political messaging, of talking points, it's very easy to get lost because the talking points sent out are done by really smart people. Yeah. So just by repeating the talking points from the powerful, you're already then doing a shitty job.
Yeah.
That's my take.
Yeah. Journalists are also very poorly paid. So that contributes to that kind of what we might call laziness. And a lot of journalists are told what they can and cannot say by the powers that be, especially in the big mainstream media.
Yeah, that's how it is. But we love journalists and keep it up, colleagues and friends, and support good journalists and give them love because they also need it.
And we need the truth.
We need the truth.
So if you like our podcast, you have to let us know. Please send us comments, rate us. I think that helps promote the podcast. Tell your friends about us. We need more listeners, and we need a little bit of love too. Love can come in the form of money. If you want to give us a little money every month, you can go to patreon.com, look for Pushback Talks. Every euro, every pound, every dollar buys Fredrik a cortado. No, it helps us produce the podcast. Otherwise, we do it for free.
See you next week. More words in our word food.
Word food. Bye, Fredrik.
Bye, Leilani.
Pushback Talks is produced by WG Film. To support the podcast, become a patron by going to patreon.com/pushbacktalks. Follow us on social media at make_the_shift and push_the_film. Or check out our websites, maketheshift.org, pushthefilm.com, or breakingsocialfilm.com.